The voice of Husker Nation is on the air. This is Hail Varsity Radio. Insight, opinion, expertise, along with the biggest names talking Nebraska sports. Join in with the show at 402-489-1240 or 1-800-825-5865. Now, here are your hosts, Chris Schmidt and Elijah Herbel.
Welcome to it, Roadshow Friday here at the Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. It's Hail Varsity Radio, getting ready for Nebraska-Colorado. We invite you out, Patio Show 2.0, as we're here just off 370 and Lincoln Road. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel, and you. Our good friend Ryan is here. He even brought us, listen for it, seasoning. It's all good. The outlaw Josie Wales is here, my little niece. She has firecrackers and gasoline. I'm kidding. But it could be that explosive tomorrow with Colorado and Nebraska. Numbers for you to get in, 489-1240. 489-1240, 800-825-5865, the dial up along the Hail Varsity Radio Network. Come get a great, glorious big old pizza here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Signature pizzas. They've got a pizza oven here. It is made for deliciousness. We'll kind of run down some of the choices of the pie you can get here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, Gretna location. Oh yeah, the game. Plenty of drinks, too. A full bar for you at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, Lincoln Road off 370. We will dive into some keys for the Big Red tomorrow. This is just part of the end of the week road show bonanza. Single barrel yesterday, Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill today. And tomorrow, we are back at the Single Barrel, 3:30 to 5:30 for the weekend edition of Hail Varsity Radio. That's going to be a ton of fun. There may be a cowboy collar sighting on site for that, maybe an RSVP from one Makovica. Excited to be down there. Then the bar for Real Red Reaction post-game that gets rolling at 10:15. Elijah, how you doing? You geared up? I know you want Saturday here. But I'm asking the listeners here on Hail Varsity YouTube, Hail Varsity Radio Network, Hail Varsity Twitter, at HVarsity Radio. Follow there. What are your nerves like here? We're less than 24 hours away. Well, 24 plus right now. By showtime, end of showtime, we'll be right there, 24 hours away from kick. How are your nerves right now as a Nebraska fan? We'll also play the game, Call Your Shot. What's the score? Who wins? What's your prediction? Get those in the stream. Get those into the email, chris@hailvarsity.com. But, Elijah, you've seen your share of big games. You go back to Nebraska's biggest appeal. What have they brought to the Big Ten? It has been eyeballs. It has been TV audience, bud. And it's not gone so well for Nebraska in those big-time, made-for-TV moments. Does that change tomorrow? We'll have to investigate and find out. But listen, you got to love the buzz, the excitement, the big game, the hype, and even maybe a little celebrity that will be on the sideline tomorrow. Yeah, well, we'll see with that. Celebrity in the chat, by the way. Let's lay that out. Not really, but kind of. We're going to call him one for today. John, his first time in the chat, en route to Lincoln. We say hello to John. We'll get to the starting five here in just a second, but we see somebody new in the first time in the chat. Long-time listener, first-time commenter. We love it. Thanks for being here, John. Celebrity of the day. But the feelings today are comparable to Christmas Eve as like a 6-year-old, you know? Sure. Where it's like nervous excitement, because there is that little bit of nervous excitement. Or 46. I mean. Sure, depends. I mean, the luster of Christmas has been lost on me the older and older I've gotten, but maybe I'm just a cynical asshole. I don't know. I don't think I'm allowed to say that, am I? Delay, dump. Okay. We're good. Stream, we're good. You need a little bit of what you just said in you tomorrow for Nebraska-Colorado. So you just uttered what everyone is thinking and needs a little bit of a BA in them.
No, I'm just practicing for the delay feature tomorrow on our post-game show from the bar to the bar.
Yes.
You had to get your practice in today. You count to 5, you press the button for 3 seconds, and you call it good. We're good.
If you hear a knock on that door,
I need to practice before tomorrow.
I'm saying if you hear a knock on that door in the next 2 seconds, good luck and God bless. I'll bail you out later.
Yeah, I think we're okay though. So I nailed the delay dump. That's beautiful, and it's worthy.
Watch this, Chris. See, it works.
But yeah,
it could have been worse. Keep going.
I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna get fined for that, and if I am, well,
not yet. We'll talk Sunday.
The nervousness is definitely there, but the excitement's also there. They're about even within me right now. If we're talking inside out, like the nervousness and the excitement among my emotions, they're duking it out. It's about even. I think, I don't know, once tomorrow rolls around, will the anxiety rise or will the excitement rise? Because one of the two is going to happen. I don't know, by the time we're 30 minutes from kickoff, will it be more anxiety or will it be more excitement? I don't know. Right now I'd call it about even though, just in terms of where I'm at 26 hours out. I can't decide if what I'm feeling is excitement or nervousness. It's both. You're excited for the opportunity. Simply put, you're excited for what tomorrow can be, but you're nervous that it's going to be that same old story that, you know what, Nebraska-Colorado duking it out in a close game in the fourth quarter, and Nebraska will find a way to shoot themselves in the foot. Or there'll be that possession from the defense that just seems so out of character from what you've expected all game long. Or there's a clock management issue. When it's been one thing or another for years and years and years for this Husker football team. That's where the anxiety comes from, but there's excitement there too.
A lot of excitement, and you painted it perfectly. Where you at here? Is it anxiety? Is it excitement? Both is the answer, because you want it, if you're a Nebraska fan, to happen. You want a signature win. You want a statement win. You want that conversation to shift from, well, same old Nebraska, or, man, Nebraska's just not ready for the moment, ... But that isn't the case. I don't believe that. I don't believe in 14 games with Matt Rule, with what he's retained, with what he's added in the portal, and quite frankly, how they practice and how they coach. I don't believe they're not ready physically. I believe they're 1,000% ready physically. I think they're 1,000% ready with what offense they want to run, understanding that it's going to need to be ground and pound with play action. They have it all in front of them for a situation to deliver. They have it all in front of them to get the ball to some weapons. They have it all in front of them, Elijah, with a billion career starts on the offensive line. They've got the experience factor, and they're not man for man as talented as Colorado, obviously at the wide receiver spot, but they're not awful. I mean, they're absolutely capable of making some plays themselves at the wide receiver spot. So Nebraska's not deficient as a whole roster at all on talent. There's some high-pick Sunday guys Colorado's got that you got to worry about. What Barney said yesterday makes me wonder, can Colorado's skill bail them out a second week in a row? Because that's how Colorado wins tomorrow. They get a couple big pops in the run game just to keep you honest, and then it's their elite dudes that just go Troy Edwards on you and have a Heisman game against you.
Well, Colorado's game plan to win here, actually, before I get there, I do want to say it's pretty incontestable in my eyes that the talent Nebraska has right now is better than the talent was last year. It's better than it was in years past. Like, it's a good football team Nebraska has right now. The questions I have are not physical, it's mental. What is this team between the ears? I need to go out there and see it. Like, with the Buffs, I don't think the question is necessarily physical either. You know, they have the skill talent everywhere. You could ask the question, what was their level of improvement along the offensive lines? That's a question to have here, because if they can hold their own enough put more of the game on Dylan Raiola's shoulders than the Husker coaching staff would like, that's your game plan to victory, is like, make it a quarterback duel. Make it Shedeur versus Raiola. Nebraska doesn't want this to be a Shedeur versus Raiola game tomorrow. That's how the national media might bill it, but what Nebraska wants it to be is to be Shedeur against Nebraska's physicality. If Colorado can come in, match the physicality specifically along the lines of scrimmage, turn it into a Shedeur versus Raiola duel, that's how they come in, that's how they win this football game. But they also have the same questions between the ears with how things fell apart last year, with how mentally fragile they seemed at times. They have the same questions I think Nebraska does in terms of how do they respond to this environment. And that's where the nervousness comes from, is there's unknowns on both sides. Can Colorado hold their own on the lines of scrimmage? Are they more strong mentally? For Nebraska, it's how does Dylan Raiola respond to the moment? Is Nebraska able to be balanced? And have they improved between the ears in terms of confidence in those big-time moments in close games?
Can it be complimentary football? Because it was anything but a year ago. It was the defense grabbing every bucket, every bowl, everything they could possible to bail water out of the ship, so to speak, because they got no help. They got one 75-yard run, and that's it. They got a touchdown pass with a second left from Heine to Fedoni. And I mean, it was 8 explosive pass plays that our dear friend Brandon Vogel highlighted. I mean, that's going to be a key. What do the explosives look like, and is it a game of keep away? So we'll dive in here, Nebraska-Colorado, the eve of the hate-filled rivalry. Brian Christopherson with us from Husker 24/7 Sports in a little less than 10 minutes. Pride of Fairbury, Bill Doleman going to join us, the professor, at 5. He's en route. Grant Wistrom, Husker legend, Husker great. We love talking to Grant. He is back for the 94 celebration. Grant will join us at 5:25. He's imaginary. He wears red. It is the Friday forecast with Clausburn that commences at 5:40. DU 92 is all about it. Cannot turn the football over again 4 times. Amen, amen, and amen. NU Grandpa is in first as we jump into our starting 5. You're always welcome to jump in. Comment on the Hail Varsity YouTube channel. Do that. Hail Varsity Radio. Twitter can also say what's up, as we're seeing all sorts of friends coming in from different parts of the state of Nebraska or out of state for this ball game. A lot of Hail Varsity Radio listeners already perching up, posting up on the patio. And you grandpa in the stream. Anonymous is here. Being second is the greatest accomplishment of my life. Anonymous, appreciate you checking us out in the stream. Grateful Red is all in. Uncle Jimmy says my toe is in bounds. Reference to the Baltimore finish last night. I'm sure there's some of you that will seize the prime opportunity there with that statement and comment in the stream. The other day, I've already started tailgating. Love it. And Sexy Grinch, formerly Crew, is in as the 6th man. Cousin Jeremy is here. This is big. Wow. And I love this. Brent is here, and along with Mr. Jeff Snitley. The Snitley tailgate will be one for the ages tomorrow. Part of the Boulder Peace Treaty that was founded 1 year ago tomorrow in a hotel lobby in Boulder. The taps were turned back on for Big Red fans. Thank us, Snitley, when you see him. More comments coming in. Coach Brandon is here. Black Hills Brennan. And he and his buddy Bruce en route, eastbound and down. Black Hills Brennan is all set to check in. The other Snitley is here. Eat Beef. Dylan comes into the stream along with Mr. Erickson. Tuck, good to have you. Cornhusker Cola. Uncle Larry is back in Estes. Good to have you, Uncle Larry. And this one is from I'm a Pothead. It says go Buffs.
That checks out.
I kid you not. There it is for proof purposes on the stream. And we'll get some of your comments. We'll get some of your shots called, right? Call your shot Friday. What's the score going to be? Sexy Grinch is putting $1.99, and he wants us to put a parlay. We're close enough the river to get to our friends at Ameristar. He wants the parlay. Nebraska covers, Iowa covers, Texas covers the spread. That is the Sexy Grinches, formerly Crew, Fire parlay. Matt says cheers. Michael from North Carolina says 26 hours away. Jack is here. Vic from Denver is here. We love Vic. We might see Vic tomorrow at the Single Barrel. He says he's bleeping anxious. The other James Williams, 33-19, says Nebraska with the win. Oh my gosh, can we grow some balls as a fan base, Schmitty? You're going to be loud and proud, Red Flag Raiola, tomorrow. I know Memorial Stadium's going to be unhinged. Rule of the day is in. CK Cash 26. I'm going to cry when we win. That's what it's built up to a little bit. You're going to unleash some emotions as a Nebraska fan that you've been ready to do for quite a while.
Well, how long have we been talking about this game, Schmitty? It's been dating. It was announced as a primetime game in late June.
Yes.
So we're talking here. That's how long this game's been pumped up for.
It's built up. It's not only opponent, but it's timing.
I'd say opportunity.
It's opponent, it's opportunity, it's all good. It's all good. We'll get to more of your stream questions coming up. Austin's got an email we'll read as well. And get to plenty of that. Brian Christopherson with us, Husker 24/7 Sports. We're here at the Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill in Gretna on Highway 370 just off Lincoln Road. And you're invited out. Patio Show 2.0. Next week, we'll gear up for Northern Iowa with Patio Show 3.0. And come try the Bacon Chicken Ranch Pizza here. More on the way with Hail Varsity.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Thanks for hanging out. It's Hail Varsity Roadshow here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill Patio. So there's a couple of spots for you, but fill it up here off of Highway 370 in Gretna off Lincoln Road. Our 2.0 patio show in front of Nebraska-Colorado. Single Barrel tomorrow, 3:30 to 5:30, the weekend edition of Hail Varsity. And then the bar, 10:15 for Real Red Reaction, Elijah Herbel, Chris Schmidt. So, Elijah, I'm just getting, there's a few folks here that apparently you owe beers to. And Ryan is like, yeah, dude, I need to get that collection going on. Where's Elijah? Elijah will hopefully be freed tomorrow from the studio.
Well, I'm not going to be. That's the problem. So, Schmitty, I think those red beers are on you now.
Those red beers are on me. We're getting transferred, apparently.
That's the transitive property.
So I owe. Well, didn't you start saying you were going to open a tab tomorrow?
Yeah, that was
the Colorado game.
That was whenever we had a producer in studio, and now I got to be in studio, so I don't know what's going to happen.
That's so good. We welcome in Brian Christopherson with Husker 24/7 Sports. Amazing work with BC and Schaaf and Brunsey. Brian, you and I, along with Elijah, grew up here in Nebraska. We grew up watching this ball game. It kind of took over for some of us that Oklahoma-Nebraska spot on the schedule, and so much going in. What's your feel? What's your anticipation for just atmosphere tomorrow night? Let's start there. Let's start with just how murky and thick it's going to be. Thank you so much. More seasoning for Elijah. Okay, we have folks bringing us steak seasoning. Daddy's is bringing us. Sorry, I interrupted you, BC. We had a wonderful listener bring more. Apparently, I'm king of the meat sweats. Continue. Sorry.
No. First off, folks need to pace themselves tonight. Let's keep that in mind.
What's the fun in that?
It's gonna. Yeah, maybe not. That's not fun, I guess. Yeah, it's going to be insane, to your question. I mean, I think it's going to be rowdy. I think it's going to be Miami 2014 is always the most recent reference. There's like a combination of things why this is the case. It's a night game. I think Deion Sanders going anywhere attracts sort of some venom when he brings his team into another stadium. Nebraska-Colorado goes back decades where there's just not a lot of friendship there. And I also think Husker fans sense here's an opportunity we've been waiting for a long time to have a national spotlight game where there's a true belief like it's time to pounce. You're not the underdog in this game. You're the favorite. I think fans are hopeful they're going to go play that way.
It's Brian Christopherson with us here on Hail Varsity Radio. And Brian, the special event this weekend, Nebraska's bringing back the balloons. But in all honesty, should they have brought back the res instead of the balloons? Would that have led to a better atmosphere?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
Both.
I think the balloons are a cool touch. Of course, there's good balloons and bad balloons. There's bad balloons if it takes you to the third quarter to get in the end zone, and then there's good balloons if you go down in 7 plays on the first drive. So that's the message you got to send in this game. I've always thought the red balloons tradition is especially cool at night. When those things are in the sky and a night like tomorrow where it's going to be 65, 70 degrees, it's just an awesome thing. But you got to go set a tone early, not just for the game, but people don't want to hold their balloons for 25 minutes into the game. You don't want people doing that.
Brian Christopherson with us, Hail Varsity Radio Roadshow here in Gretna, Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. BC, let's talk about setting that tone. And you've got a team full of physical, talented players, and you look at Nebraska's 2 deep or even 3 deep in some spots. You feel really good about the development Nebraska's gone on the last 14, 15 months under Matt Rule. That being said, let's get into how the sausage is made tomorrow. What is or what can be effective for Nebraska? Where are some of their advantages in your eyes?
Besides the obvious with Dylan Raiola just needing to be that collected, mature beyond his years freshman, I feel like this is a huge O-line game. You could say that every week, but this is what I mean by that is this has been building under Donovan Raiola for a couple seasons, I think, to a night like tomorrow where you have a real chance to put your stamp on this thing. You've got the 1994 team being honored, obviously, who made a living taking the souls out of people, by the second half. And so I think tomorrow night, as much as Raiola is going to have to make some throws and drop a couple in there that are maybe wow moments for a young player, I think it still comes down to the trenches. And early on, if you're seeing Nebraska get 4 to 5 yards a carry even on the first drive or two, that to me portends well to the rest of the game and what can be. So that's an experienced group. They've worked hard to sort of get to a level where people, I think, respect them as a good O-line, but now it's like, be a great O-line. Take this game by the horns and rough up Colorado a little bit. And, I mean, this game is so thick with storylines. I mean, you got Warren Sapp over there on that staff. I mean, this is just unbelievable, like all the stuff that, like, is kind of comes together. But if it's really going to be a special night, I think it will include kind of an old-fashioned Nebraska O-line kicking some butt up front.
Brian, in your eyes, who needs to have the better day tomorrow? Is it the Husker offense or the Husker defense?
Oh, man, that's a good question. I think it's the Husker offense. I think the defense will at least hold their own, to a certain degree. And I think there's confidence brewing that the offense can more than hold their own, too. But this is a step up from last week. I mean, we can say what we want about if you don't think Colorado's got it all together on the defensive side of the ball or not. But Nebraska still has to produce in that setting where you don't turn the ball over 3 or 4 times. You're just fundamentally sound and you execute as you would on a Tuesday practice, and you don't let this the heat lamp get to you. So I think there's more questions to answer for the offense, but that's one of those questions. It's a good one, but you can go either way with that. I mean, Nebraska's defense, they got a lot on the line in this one too. All off season for 8 months we've talked about they're a top 10 crew, and this is a game where you go show that. Last year it wasn't all their fault. It was sort of the offense giving the ball away, but the thing got off the rails at really the only time all year that we saw that with Tony White's defense against this Colorado team. So I'm sure there's a lot of guys in that room who have been waiting for this game for 12 months. So, now it's time to go put up and do it.
Brian Christopherson with us, Hail Varsity Radio Roadshow. Of course, you read Brian and Schaaf and Brunsey with Husker 24/7 Sports. BC, let's get into the couch conversation. Psyche. That hump that this squad, these old vets that came back for a moment like tomorrow night, they want to be the ones that lead this team through a tight, tough, one-score win. And are you concerned about that, or do you think that this is the breakthrough for more tight games possibly this year? This is the confidence builder tomorrow night.
It's a good question, Schmitty, because you do have to go do that at some point. And Nebraska fans would love if they actually didn't have to do it tomorrow. It's just one of those games where they just went out and dominated. But if it is a tight game with 6 minutes left, you have to prove you can make that one extra play. I mean, the whole offseason is built around like a Chasing 3 documentary and finding that basically that one extra play. I will say that I think Rule and his staff have done an excellent job just kind of reading the tea leaves of this team in moving past that for most of the offseason. I don't sense that they feel that as a big weight, like they're carrying up a hill going into it. Maybe it will feel like that when it actually arrives, and we just don't know yet. But I've said all along, this has not sounded like a team that went 5-7 last year, hasn't been to a bowl game since 2016. They've been a very confident group all off season, and I think some of that's, you have some veteran guys who think they put in that extra whatever it takes to get over the hump, but also there's a lot of new guys that are just playmakers on this roster that don't really have that baggage from the past. There's Ja'Cory Barney doesn't care what happened in 2019 in some game, or Jamal Banks or Isaiah Nair, for that matter, Dylan Raiola. So I do think that can be an advantage, is that this is a relatively young roster still in some spots where those guys, they've heard about it maybe, but, I don't think they think more about that than they do about their next, college football 25 game they've got set up with someone, and if they're ready to handle that. So I just don't think it's weighing on their minds, at least before this game.
I think you're right on. I think the baggage part could linger for a couple of guys, but it's been worked on. It's been addressed by this coaching staff and by some of the older veteran leaders on this squad. Follow and find Brian Christopherson on Twitter at Husker247BC. Do you have a prediction for us at all, or is that for tomorrow?
No, I do. I think I put 35-27 Nebraska, and I think that's a credit to what I think of Colorado's skill guys and Shedeur Sanders. I mean, I think they're special players. They've got 3 or 4 really just top level guys, and if I have one concern for Nebraska in this game, it's when this game gets off script a little bit. I feel really good about Nebraska against Colorado, on the grease board and matchups and all that stuff. But it's those plays where, and they're going to happen, where Shedeur Sanders is going to try to buy some time. He'll backtrack 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and he'll try to find Jimmy Horn or Travis Hunter, 40 yards down the field. In those moments, is Nebraska going to get that turnover or something that they've sort of been seeking for a while, or is that going to be an explosive for CU that makes this a tight game all the way to the end? But I do think Nebraska's defense is confident. I know that. You can tell it if people didn't hear Mekhi Bayer's interview off to the side. I think he probably let out a little more than maybe they wanted, but you could tell that's a guy who thinks they've got something for Colorado tomorrow. So, maybe 27 points for CU is too much, but I do have respect for their offense, and I think it's going to be a tough game, but I like Nebraska across the board, and I think they make a few more plays, and it's a good night in Lincoln.
It is. You might need to bring in some reinforcements if it gets too good a night, Elijah. And BC, Nebraska's ready to let one go. BC, take care. Thanks again.
Yep. See you guys there tomorrow. It should be fun for everybody.
Hail Varsity Radio is live. Now, back to Schmitty.
Schmitty's a great guy, but he don't have a brain.
And Elijah.
You want me to speak? When I point at you, yeah.
On Hail Varsity Radio.
Back with you, gearing up, Nebraska-Colorado, a little more than 24 hours away. Road Show Friday. We're here at the Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill in Gretna, just off 370 and Lincoln Road. A lot of Hail Varsity listeners have found their way up to the bar, out to the patio 2.0 show. Single barrel tomorrow. If you can't make it out to Hurrdat tonight, it's okay. You're forgiven. Patio show 3.0 next Friday ahead of Northern Iowa. But single barrel tomorrow, 3:30 to 5:30, weekend edition of Hail Varsity. And then the bar, where you need to be 10:15-ish for the Real Red Reaction post-game. Adam is in. It is Call Your Shot Friday. He says 52-7, tribute to the 92 blasting of Colorado on Halloween. Adam, good work. Remember that game fondly. A lot of fog in the air. Rule of the day was talking about DB's take. And the entrance is supposed to be special tomorrow. MB Husker 13. I'm playing a music gig for Heydays and Cozad. I'll be playing music at 9 and checking his NBC app between songs. Negative Mike says F the Buffs. Matthew checks in. Prepare for the best, accept the less. His take, Robert is in, says GBR, says Nebraska 31-24. And that is his prediction. Tuck says, look, no need to worry, still playing a 4-8 team. Scott is in, checks in as well. We'll get to more of your comments as well. How about this trip down memory lane, Elijah? Good find. Our friend Blake Lawrence and what he does with Open Doors, tremendous. And Blake, so valuable on the tech front, the athlete empowerment front. But his shorts that he's putting out on social media are pretty glorious. And who doesn't want to hear a good Carl Pelini story? Take it away.
57 yards. Does he have enough? Is it long enough?
I played in that game, and because of me, Carl Pelini punched his hand through a whiteboard in the middle of that game. Here's the story. It's 27-24. We're up. It's the middle of the third quarter. We're on a goal line stand. And all week, we practiced this play where when the guard and tackle pull, I got to get outside over the top. So we practiced it all week. The play comes, we're on the goal line, and I did my job. I get out and over the top, but they decided to run it right up the middle instead. I was out of position, caught, they scored, there's no help on the backside. So when we get to the sidelines, Carl Pelini sits us all down and starts talking about this play we just gave up, because now we're down. And he says, Lawrence, what happens on this play? I said, well, they pull, I gotta get over the top. He goes, no, it hits tight, it hits tight, it hits tight. And as he says it the third time, he punches straight through the whiteboard. It was epic. And to this day, I know for sure we practice all week, get over the top, but they decided to hit it tight. It haunts me a little bit to this day, but I know it's supposed to be why. Thank goodness Alex Henry hit a 57-yard field goal, and then Ndamukong Suh truck stick the quarterback in the most epic fashion to win the game. Otherwise, I might have given up the game-winning touchdown.
Gotta love it. Love that roar, that sound of Henry's field goal.
And Schmitty, whenever you talk about the roar at Nebraska-Colorado, do you think tomorrow night contests 92 Nebraska-Colorado in terms of viciousness? Because the 09 game with the field goal, or sorry, 08, excuse me, the 08 game with the field goal, I'm not sure it was loud all game, but it was a loud fourth quarter. 92 was loud from the jump, and then, if I remember correctly, Nebraska goes on to beat them down pretty bad in that 92 game.
52-7, and both teams came in tied, ranked 8th. Colorado had a 3-game unbeaten streak about Nebraska. That was that tug of war for the Big 8. Is Nebraska going to retain power? Because Colorado had taken the top spot in the conference. Oklahoma was in NCAA jail for quite a bit in the early 90s, and then coaching hire mishaps post-Switzer. So that was kind of take it back and put Colorado in their place. That was the mood, the venom in 92 and 91. It was the snowball game on ESPN where Bennett's field goal was wide and Nebraska and Colorado tied. 1990, it ended up being for a chance at a national championship, and Bieniemy and company scored 27 points in the fourth quarter. And they beat Nebraska 27-12. I was in the front row of the south end zone for that one and still can't feel my feet. Ronnie says Fox predicting a Colorado upset. Wolfman 010 says, well, Fox loves CU. Cody is in. I'll ask the question here, how does Butler's experience help this secondary and controlling Hunter and Horn? Butler is a dude. Jamari Butler is poised, along with Ty Robinson, for major minutes tomorrow. And, they're both going to be taking their turn against Seton, the true freshman tackle who looked damn good last week. Who's on the horn, bud?
Paul's on the line.
Paul, what do you got, partner? Thanks for calling.
Hey, guys, I got to set the record straight. You want to know the biggest, saddest game that was ever held in Memorial Stadium? Nebraska-Colorado 94, not 92.
Well, the blowout was big in 92. 94 was a 200 sellout. That was Behringer. That was Salam and company coming in as number 2. Nebraska was number 3. The winner of that got your front seat for a national championship. 94 was monstrous. Colorado didn't think that a backup, air quote, backup quarterback could beat them. Brooke and LP did, and the defense was incredible that day against Westbrook, Stewart, and Salam.
Stadium, and what you have to recognize about that stadium was it was literally so loud you had to put your fingers in your ears or suffer hearing loss. I'm not exaggerating.
How was it both?
It was that loud.
92 was more toxic, venomous. 94 was impressive, was loud, was lit, was juiced. There's a little more nervousness in 94 because of no Tommy Frazier.
Exactly.
Thanks for the call, dude. Saturday checks in. What about me? Saturday, there's your shout-out, partner. We're all waiting for Saturday. We've been waiting all week for Saturday to get here. Grant Wistrom coming up in 30 minutes. His name's on the stadium. We'll check in with Grant. Dion is here. Says, hey, the greatest fans, GBR. Good to have you in, Dion. Appreciate you checking in. Ken is here in the stream. Chris is here. It is shout out. Make that call your shot Friday. What's your score prediction? Clausburn will have his prediction at 5:40. Tim is here. Tim, good to have you in the stream. Erica's here. Erica, good to have you. I made my then 9-year-old hold a balloon for 3 quarters against South Dakota State in 2013. Erica says, let's score earlier than that. Great Red Shark is here. Some final thoughts this first hour here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill in Gretna, 370 Lincoln Road. Come find us here till 6.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Back with you, it's Hail Varsity. We're powered by Cornhead Lager. Roadshow Friday here, Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Out on the patio, Gretna location, the Lincoln Road and off Highway 370. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel. And tomorrow, pregame, weekend edition, 3:30 to 5:30 at the Single Barrel. Come see us there if you can't make it here. The Bar. Seth and Greg having us out for Real Red Reaction, 10:15-ish for Real Red Reaction. Scott is in. He said, I checked out the Mikhail Bayer, about screwed that up, Bayer interview during the break. Great confidence. And the commentary was twofold. One, on how excited he is to play Colorado. Going to need 2 dudes to block him. 2, on the question about Dylan and Shadur, and you just don't compare them, right? Dylan's a different dude, and good for Bayer. Bayer crawled out of just gathering dust, unfortunately, under the previous staff, wowed this staff, and is going to be patrolling that linebacker spot tomorrow. He's a hell of a good player, and he's earned it, Elijah, from special teams now to more than just spot duty at that linebacker spot. He's been really, really good.
And that quote has been taken so out of context by some Colorado fans, because whenever I hear it, I hear a guy that is not taking down...
He was playing, he's excited.
Well, he's not taking down Shedeur Sanders. He's putting confidence into his teammate, as he should. That's your job as a teammate. But then whenever you read the quote and don't listen to it, I think some people are sitting here saying like, oh, he's sitting here saying that Shedeur doesn't hold a candle to Dylan. No, he's saying don't compare the two quarterbacks. They're each their own person. Dylan's a dog. I think Colorado fans are insinuating that with that comment he's saying Shedeur Sanders isn't a dog. But no, just a guy pumping up his teammate, having some confidence in the guys on the other side of the football. Like, such an overblown comment, but whatever. You like the guy having confidence. You're supposed to have confidence in your teammates, though.
T. Songster 23 says Coach Butler, the X Factor, huge hire. 42-10 Nebraska. Moonbot checks in, says howdy nerds. Love it. Walt emails in, just he's a little apprehensive, man. He's got a bad feeling about this, and you have anxiety or excitement for tomorrow. Austin's email, Chris at hailvarsity.com. Good afternoon, fellas. Feels like if Nebraska can keep Colorado under 30, they should no doubt win. My main concern is that any lead short of 3 scores during this game is not going to feel like enough because of Colorado's ability to score unbelievably quick. We played the Klatt clip yesterday. Buffs in a classic says Klatt 34-31. And there are former coaches we bumped into and talked to, Elijah, that thinks Nebraska can win this one handily. And one last thing, he says, hopefully Rule does a smart thing and opens up the game with a surprise onside kick. Well played, Austin. Austin says Nebraska by 40. It could go and snowball on Colorado, Elijah, like it snowballed on Nebraska a year ago.
And the thought I had was, think about Scott Frost versus P.J. Fleck in year 1 and compare it to year 2, where Minnesota really built up their lines of scrimmage and came out and dominated Nebraska the next year. Could that be the story?
Might be. Hour 2 on the way here from Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill in Gretna. Bill Doleman with us, Grant Wistrom on the way. Hail Varsity, powered by Cornhead Lager.
He's the pride of Fairbury, an average Joe. Bill Doleman, the professor.
I had a 6 ACT in 1967. One time I got an A and my grandma beat me for cheating.
Now with Hail Varsity Radio.
Back with you, it's Hail Varsity, powered by Cornhead Lager here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, Gretna location. As the show, today's live show on YouTube, playing throughout the show, throughout the Hurrdat Sports Bar. We're out of the patio. Just awesome. Patio Show 2.0 off Lincoln Road and Highway 370. The pizza looks flat out amazing. The prosciutto bianco looks incredible. The meatball pizza is good. Bill Doleman is salivating right now, the pride of Fairbury. And the professor with us. Follow Bill at Bill Doleman. Listen to the Average Joe Sports Show podcast, which is awesome. Bill, a question in on Twitter from Chris. Will there be oxygen on the sideline for Warren Sapp tomorrow?
And are you Chris?
No, I don't have a burner / alias. Chris Nelson _the_Don. So that's the Twitter you can look up. But how about old Warren coming back to see his buddies from '94?
Well, the last I saw Warren Sapp, he was narrating a Fight Club video out of Boulder. So presumably he can put the video down. He'll be coaching on Saturday. Look, that's one of the great moments in Nebraska football history when guys from the cornfield went down to Miami to play the Hurricanes on their home field in the heat and humidity. And the fourth quarter, those guys are down on their knees, gasping for air. They're coming down from altitude to play in Lincoln, but I think I think the excitement level for both teams will be an all-time high. But this is going to be a little different atmosphere for Colorado tomorrow, as opposed to what they enjoyed last week against North Dakota State and last year when they beat Nebraska in Boulder. I know that was their greatest atmosphere ever, but I think that will remain the high point of the Deion Sanders era at CU.
Did you see, Bill, from earlier this week? I don't know, and bad journalist Elijah Herbel, apologies. I don't know which Colorado coach said this, but a Colorado coach got in front of the team and in part of their preparation for the Memorial Stadium crowd, along with the rolling speakers, got up in front of the team and said that environment you heard how loud it was at Folsom this past week with North Dakota State, double that and everyone's wearing red. That's Memorial Stadium. That's what he said. Is that a fair assessment of the difference between Folsom and Memorial?
Well, in large part because there will be twice as many people at Memorial Stadium as opposed to, 50,000 that they can put into Folsom Field and Boulder. It's one thing to double the size of the crowd and be loud, but I think it's another thing to double the size of the crowd and to give Nebraska fans pretty much a full day to get all exercised up before the game starts. There's going to be 95,000 people in the stadium tomorrow, and there will be another probably 95,000 people outside the stadium making noise tomorrow. And the game day atmosphere in Lincoln has amped up considerably. I think it's going to be more than just double. And no matter how many times they can strap a speaker to a lawnmower and push it around their practice facility, I just don't think that whatever they try to do to replicate the atmosphere, they're going to be able to do. I think the atmosphere tomorrow, and I said this on the Average Joe Show podcast, I think the crowd will be worth at least 15 yards in procedure penalties, if not 20.
Bill Doleman with us. Vic from Denver is here. Back-to-back Colorado-Nebraska appearances for Vic. Good to have him. Bill, gorgeous night, phenomenal weather. It is going to be unhinged tomorrow in a good way. It's what college football's all about. I want you to put on your best dressed impersonation here, gear-wise, for your psychologist get up. And is it a worry? Is it a concern for you tomorrow?
That the atmosphere is going to be a little too over the top?
Too over the top, but does that affect the dudes wearing that red N?
I don't think so. I think this is a more mature team. If you go back to that first Scott Frost coached game in Boulder, what was that, 2018? Nebraska handled CU in the first half of that game, but there were some silly penalties due to emotion and playing with an immature confidence, shall we say. And things were going Nebraska's way early in that game, and there were some personal foul penalties and some undisciplined. I don't think you're going to see this Nebraska team be undisciplined in the environment. Yeah, they're going to be hyped up, but I really think that Matt Rule will have this team dialed in a way that they're able to control themselves. They better control themselves, because if you have yourself a 15-yard penalty because you're just a little too jacked, I would think that's akin to fumbling the football and you got to be on the bench for a little while. That message has got to be sent. You want to play with emotion, but you want to play with mature and controlled emotion and confidence. And if Nebraska can do that, take advantage of the crowd and let the crowd play along with them instead of playing to the crowd, I think that's an important distinction. Play with the crowd. Let the crowd play with the team, but don't play to them and try to entertain them. This isn't Gladiator, all right? So I think that's a key distinction as to how you handle what we believe. And I've been around for a lot of Nebraska games. I really believe this will probably be a top 10, if not top 5 crowd of all time. And I point to a couple of other Colorado games, whatever you want to say, or whatever I believe about the rivalry. a couple of those crowds would include Nebraska. And if you go back to 1992 on Halloween night, there was a ton of emotion in that one. And that crowd was juiced up on Halloween, right? 52-7. That team played with the crowd. The crowd played with them, not to them. So when you can control it and be mature in it, you can really be an advantage for you. And that's what I expect. I think Matt Rule has a handle on his team's psyche, unlike what Scott Frost had in 2018.
It's Bill Doleman with us here, 25 hours away from kickoff, Nebraska-Colorado, getting you everything you need to know. And Bill, as we are 25 hours out here, the crowd's going to be fired up tomorrow, and it's because there's that mix 25 hours out of excitement and anxiousness. And it's those type of crowds, I think, that get the most worked up. If you have supreme confidence in the team, there's no reason for you to be really, really fired up. But if there's no excitement, obviously no reason either. So I think you have that nice mix. As you stand here 25 hours out, what is your reason for anxiety, your reason for anxiousness headed into this game? What concerns you about this matchup?
Shedeur Sanders' ability to extend plays and for Travis Hunter's ability to find ways to get open. And for them to bust a couple of big plays. I could see Nebraska going on a long march, 8 to 10 to 12 plays and perhaps punching in an early touchdown, taking some time off the clock. And then Colorado is able to, go 70 yards in 3 plays like UTEP did once, against Nebraska last week. And all of a sudden you got the offense back out there and you've done what you wanted to do, but they did what you're afraid they can do. And I could see a situation where Colorado is able to utilize not just Hunter, but Horn, and those guys might find themselves running free if Sanders is able to extend plays like that. I still think he's going to have a lot more duress this week against Nebraska's front 3, 4, 5, 6 than he did last week. And I think that it might be a physical game. As much as Nebraska fans want the officials to keep an eye on what Travis Hunter does in ways to get open, like he did against Dakota State, Colorado is going to equally say, hey, they can't take that extra step and hit our guy. So I don't think Nebraska is going to get away with extra hits on Shedeur Sanders, where it's going to result in 15 yards and first downs, and their drives will stay alive. I'm just focusing on 2 or 3 players for Colorado, but that I should give Nebraska fans a lot of anxiety. There's 22 guys on the field at one time, and there's 11 guys trying to stop those 2 or 3. And if they can't, and they bust some big plays, it could be a long night.
It's Bill Doleman with us, the professor, the pride of Fairbury, Hail Varsity Roadshow here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Patio is darn near full. It's going to look like the south end zone. We invite you out here till 6 tomorrow. Pre-game, weekend edition, Hail Varsity at the Single Barrel inside the Graduate 9th and P, 3:30 to 5:30. The post-game, the mother of all post-games, those victory slinkies. If you're a big Red fan at the bar, 17th and P. Seth has just let it be known, Billy D, that there is Guinness specifically for you when you make your appearance.
I was just to ask for a seat, but man, it's now there.
You have a seat and a Guinness, courtesy of Smith and Crew.
The number of my students, when they said, "What are you doing?" Like after the game or something, I'm going to the bar with Schmidt and Elijah and company. They're going, "You're going to the bar?" I said, "Yeah, I got it going on." I'm Bill Doleman, for Pete's sakes.
We need to make that wall of fame. From a picture standpoint, I love it.
It's Chris and Bill on the wall, surrounded by all of Bill's students.
You want that passing grade? You'll take care of my bar tab. I like it. Bill, let's spend a minute with 1994. You were a part of it with Coach Osborne with the University of Nebraska. Part of the staff, of course, host of the Tom Osborne Show. Had a chance to bump into Coach McBride, Coach George, T.O., Tomich, and I'm not trying to be a scumbag and name drop. It was just good to see all those dudes in the parking lot yesterday, and Charlie wanted a mouthpiece and helmet because he really wants this one against Colorado. So let's go back to honoring tomorrow night. Let's honor that 94 team, and give me a thought about your experience with them.
Well, that goes kind of back to what I was saying earlier, playing with a mature confidence. Those teams in the mid-90s, they played with supreme confidence, rarely out of control. They were just really fabulous definition, football, the way they played it. Hard-nosed, physical, together. It really was a great time to be around Nebraska football. I've told the story many times of, the preseason workouts leading into the 94 season, because Nebraska had lost the Orange Bowl the year before, 18-16 to Florida State. And I had the opportunity to go down and do some work for KFAB, getting player interviews. And so it would be basically me in the stands and 100 players on their own preparing for the season in 100-plus degree heat, day in and day out. And the accountability that those players had toward each other and for each other, there's no coaches there. It was just them. And listening to the way they interacted and the leadership and the determination. That score from that Orange Bowl was up on the board. The time remaining 1:16, Nebraska led that game with 1:16 to go, and then lost the game, or they would have won a national title that year. So that, to me, their leadership was just absolutely remarkable for those teams. And, should have won 4, should have won 96 as well. But that team played with a supreme and mature and controlled confidence. And, they beat Colorado 24-7. That game wasn't that close. And no matter what Will Compton does with his psych-up speech for the tunnel walk, and God bless him for his passionate selling of Nebraska football to the masses. No matter what he does with his tunnel walk pregame speech, it will never match the dramatic entrance of Nebraska when the simple white flashes, the stars came up and revealed Tommy Frazier, Tom Osborne, and Mike Mentor leading that team down the tunnel. That game was over when Nebraska saw those 3 proud, stoic figures marching the team into Memorial Stadium. That was a special moment. Those guys were revered and respected.
Bill, before we get you out of here, we got about 90 seconds left before we got to say goodbye. Are you willing to lock in? You've had some great ones in years past. Last week, you almost nailed it. You're almost on the money. A prediction for Nebraska-Colorado?
Prediction?
Mm-hmm.
Pain. I would love being set up that way. Look, I think Colorado's going to bust a couple of big plays, and I think it's going to be a little nerve-wracking. I can see Sanders throwing the ball 60-some times tomorrow. I can see Travis Hunter getting 150 or more yards in receiving, and Horn doing the same thing. But I do think Nebraska's going to have a controlled offense. I think they're going to try to control the clock. I'm not exactly sure it's going to be very high scoring. But I was close last week. I think I'm dead on with this. I don't think Nebraska can produce like they did last week. I'm going to say 73-8.
73-8. Bill Doleman, Nebraska, the win and the cover, Bill?
Yeah. I'm going to go with Nebraska on that.
That's an over as well, by the way.
It is a monster over. 73-8, says the Pride of Fairbury. And come see us at the bar for a Real Red Reaction post-game. Seth and Greg, man, we love doing the post-game at 17th and P, the bar. The world will be out. Hopefully it's a celebratory beer, whiskey, a celebration slinky with the crew at the bar. 10:15 for Real Red Reaction. There'll be a Guinness full for Billy D, Elijah Herbel. And Bill, we'll see you tomorrow, bud. Can't wait for it.
Remember, I don't drink beer. I drink Guinness.
There he is.
Big Red.
Grant Wistrom coming up on Hail Varsity.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Back into it. It's Hail Varsity, powered by Cornhead Lager, on the road here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill in Gretna. Single barrel tomorrow, 3:30 to 5:30. We welcome in three-time national champ, Super Bowl champ. His name is on the stadium. It's Grant Wistrom, and it's a big ball game. Grant, you are coming back, my friend. How we doing?
I'm doing great, Schmidt. How you doing, man?
I love these moments. Growing up, watching this game, this rivalry, it is special to get to do it maybe one last time.
My body's buzzing. I can't imagine what those guys are feeling like right now. Just the talk around the game, the hype around the game, the rivalry, night game, Lincoln, Nebraska. Got a big win last weekend. Guys look good. I don't know, man. Things feel good these days.
They do. And folks are reaching for a victory beer, Grant. What are the chances somebody, and I bring this up because you're a Yellowstone fan, what are the chances the wrong CU fan mouthed off to a guy like Rip last weekend in Boulder from North Dakota State?
I promise you there's plenty of mouths getting shot off, in Boulder last weekend. That's what they like to do. They like to bump their gums, man. That's all they do is run their mouths out there. I love playing in Boulder. I always liked the hostile environment, and it did not get any more hostile than that out there. I absolutely love my times getting to play out there. And just love beating them in their home stadium. Nothing better.
Grant Wistrom with us, Hail Varsity Radio. Grant, I was talking to your pal Jason Peter earlier this week. The word that comes to your mind, what's the word you would use to describe Nebraska-Colorado?
Hatred. Hatred, maybe in younger days I would have used the word hatred, but definitely disdain, just a lack of respect. And I don't know, man. I don't like them. I never have. And just two completely different cultures. And I don't think that could be more evident than by who's running the ship at each program right now. And not that anyone is better than the other, but just two different ways of trying to get the job done. I feel that Coach Rule is the type of guy that believes in developing young men and making them better football players. And I feel like Dion is the type of guy that likes to recruit athletes with stars behind their names and just lets them go out there and play football. One's not right and one's not better than the other, but just two different cultures being built right now.
Grant Wistrom's with us, back for the 94 reunion en route. Grant, let's spend a minute on that 94 team. You were, I think, all Big 8 freshman of the year or newcomer. What did those older brothers kind of show you in 94? What was that experience like, that team like for you?
Getting to step onto a field with a bunch of guys that had played for the national championship the year before, you can learn a lot as a 17, 18-year-old kid. You just keep your mouth shut and keep your eyes open. And, I learned what it means to play for the man next to you. I always played football aggressively, but also learned that, it's a street fight out there. And the first thing I have to do is just kick the guy's ass across from me on at the line of scrimmage. And it's a fight a lot of times. And just being around a bunch of just tough, hard-nosed guys that had paid their dues and just showed me the right way to play football. Terry Keneally, Christian Pierre, Jason Pesterfield, Dwayne Harris, Dante Jones, all those guys. Sit back, shut your mouth, open your eyes, and do what they do.
Grant, a lot is talked about from a standard standpoint from Matt Rule. It reminds me of some of the teams I got to see when you were there. You have outside noise, there's hype, there's fan expectations. Spend a minute on the internal standard, you yourself, and also just the team standard with your fellow teammates. That's the bar you're really trying to reach.
Like I touched on just a little bit ago, those guys played for the national championship the year before. They knew what it took to get to that level. So there was the standard. And once again, we talk about it, you have the guys from that era, they all talk about it. You knew the standard, you knew what was expected, and there just wasn't anything less than that tolerated. And if it was less than the standard, It was dealt with internally. It wasn't something that the coaches had to get involved in. It was, you had the Unity Council, and if there was something that needed to be dealt with, somebody wasn't pulling their own weight, it got handled. It didn't have to go upstairs. And I think when you can do it that way, where your players have ownership of the program and you're not running and telling on people, that you're going to have a much stronger unit, a much more cohesive unit, and guys that are going to go out there and lay it on the line for each other. And, that's just what it was. It was every day was a fight. Every day was a battle. There weren't any easy practices. Coach Osborne, Coach McBride didn't believe in that. It was, you go out there and you paid your dues every single day. None of the, thud tempo. It was full speed go the entire practice, 3 days a week. I don't know how we all survived it, but I know we did, and it made us better, and that's why we had the success we had, because things slowed down. It wasn't as hard on Saturdays.
Grant Wistrom's with us. Few minutes. Hail Varsity Radio. Celebratory weekend. 94 being remembered. 30 years. Colorado comes to town. And let's focus in on kickoff 6:30. Why do you feel good, Grant, about Saturday night for Nebraska?
I think it starts up front for us. They have athletes. There's no question as to that. They got some great wide receivers, great quarterback. But I don't think they can keep up with our D-line. I think we're going to win the game up front. I think our offensive line's better than their defensive line. And I really, it was fun watching Dylan sling the ball around last weekend. I want to see him pound it right down their throats from the beginning of the game and just wear them out and just make a statement that, we can throw the ball if we want to, but we're still Nebraska.
The balance on offense, Grant, seems a little bit better than last year, but I think you're right. It is going to come down to that Nebraska defensive line getting after Sanders. It's going to come down to the offensive line teeing off and ground and pounding, and it could be a good day. Vegas says 7.5, and that's one hurdle I'm interested in your take on. The recent history of close ball games not going Nebraska's way. Do you feel like it can be different this year with this team?
I do. I really do. And I think it starts with the quarterback. He's only got one game on his resume, but he did a pretty good job protecting the ball. Hang on to the football this year. We win a lot of those games that we didn't win last year. So I'm sure that's been a point of emphasis all year long. I think we've got a better decision maker at the quarterback position. So I don't anticipate, losing those close games due to turnovers like we did last year.
Grant, I want to talk emotional energy. Place is going to be nuts Saturday night. Fan base going to get all invibed, and it'll be a hostile Memorial Stadium. You got to harken back to Miami 2014. How did you approach that opportunity with emotional energy, feeding off a home crowd, and then trying to quiet a negative crowd?
Oh, I as soon as I stepped on the field, just bringing the crowd into the game. Every play that you make, you got to celebrate, getting the crowd to their feet before every snap. I can't wait. It's been a long time since I've been in an environment like this, and I'm sure I'll have flashbacks and things like that, but I just can't wait to feel again. You come alive as a player, especially on defense when you're playing at home. You've got the crowd, and they're going to be good and lubed up for a night game. It's going to be, I can't wait. I anticipate this being as loud as we've ever heard Memorial Stadium.
Grant Wistrom with us, Hail Varsity Radio. A couple minutes left with Grant as he and his teammates be back celebrating 1994's title team, Coach Osborne's first. So, Grant, as we put to bed Nebraska-Colorado, is there a moment or a memory? You went 4-0 against them, but is there a Nebraska-Colorado memory that's in your back pocket?
Well, I got two of them, and I think I've told the one about Jason in Colorado before. When you play out there, bench is right against the front row of the bleachers. There's nothing separating you. I mean, the fans in the front row could reach out and touch your shoulder pads. And so we're sitting, and it's our junior year. No, it's our senior year. I think it was our sophomore year.
Mm-hmm.
Their sophomore year. Yeah, one of them. And Jason's, Christian had gotten in his trouble and all that, and some fan piped up and said something very unkind about Christian. And Jason turns back around to the guy and he says, he said, "Where's your brother Christian?" And Jason turns around so many words, says, "Probably out with your daughter right now." And this guy starts trying to come over the rails. And there's like 5 of us standing there just waiting for him to come over. I mean, his buddies are pulling him back. So there's that one. But the one that probably means the most to me is, and I think I've talked to you about this before as well, but my junior year, I wasn't sure if I was coming back for my senior year. And we were playing Colorado at home, and it was going to be my last home game. And it was the only, I am just always, I'm not thinking about what's going on around me during the game. I'm just thinking about what I have to do to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
And for the first time in my career, I actually took a moment to just acknowledge the feel of the stadium, the weather, the game, and just appreciate it. And that's a memory that I carry with me for forever. That's the one game I can always look back on Memorial Stadium and be like, I can remember exactly what it felt like to be in that game in that moment. So those 2 Colorado moments probably stand out the most to me.
Can you believe that the Buffs went and said, "Yeah, we're taking Coy Detmer, not Tommy Frazier"?
That was a mistake. I think they're probably regretting that one.
That's just one of the recruiting stories that blows me away. Grant, it's awesome to chat with you. It's good to have you back in town. What's on the playlist here? Once I quit, when I get done yapping here, what's on the old playlist as you make the roadie up?
Oh, I've got a buddy in the car with me. I'm telling him, probably Glory Days by Bruce Springsteen, because I'm just telling him about all the amazing things I did when I played there. So we'll just keep that theme going.
I like it. Grant Wistrom with us. Grant, you take care, man. Appreciate a couple of minutes.
You bet, Schmidt. Anytime, man. Thanks for having me.
Back with you. And, man, Grant Wistrom, good stuff to get his take on things. Corroboration with Jason and Grant, that sideline moment in Boulder. Friday forecast is next.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
What a scene out here. Hey, thank you so much. Good to see you. Take care. And what a scene out here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Gretna patio loaded, dining room full. They've got those garage doors, man, where it's open air for you. So even if you're not sitting outside, it feels open air. And you're doing all right. It's wonderful. We thank so many folks that have come by. Vic from Denver is here. Vic's looking for 2 tickets. So if you have extra, not that you do, but hit us up in the Stream Hail Varsity YouTube. Big thanks to Ryan for popping in all the way from Sioux Falls, brought some seasoning. Tim also he just crushed the old meatball pizza here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, and he brought some Daddy Hinkle's meat marinade and all-purpose seasoning. Gifts. Vic brought me a whiskey, some Bullet. God love him. But Vic's looking for a couple of seats tomorrow, all the way in from Denver. So if you have any extra, don't make him bleed. Help out a Nebraska fan. 489-1240, numbers to get in. We'll get to some more emails. Chris at HailVarsity.com. Always like and subscribe. YouTube, Hail Varsity YouTube channel. That's what's playing in the background here as we're streaming the show on the inside, and great speakers outside here. Fire pits galore, too, for the patio here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Tiger Shark Diver says Elijah's locked in studio. No fresh air. I am going to hashtag free Elijah. That is the call tomorrow. Hashtag Free Elijah. We're at the Single Barrel tomorrow, 3:30 to 5:30, weekend edition of Hail Varsity. Cranack will be on site, maybe a Makovica sighting on site, and then get to the bar for postgame. That postgame slinky as Real Red Reaction Live, 10:15. Our dear friend Tim Bob Kitzmiller going to be part of that with us. Bill Doleman and his Guinness. Thanks to Seth and Greg for having us there. You have Goose that chimes in with his prediction before we get to the Friday forecast, Elijah. Goose says this: my prediction is an overtime game with Shania, as he calls him, scrambling for a win. Shador. An OT game that doesn't go Nebraska's way, sadly. It is really all about anxiety or excitement. And they've got to find a way to bury that ghost, that one-score ghost. Without further ado, let us get into the Friday forecast. Claus has been stopped at the border entering into the state of Nebraska. So we will try and run Claus down next week with his reaction to Nebraska-Colorado. Apologies there. But hey, we'll get some fire for you right here, Elijah. Pretty good slate of games that starts off with Michigan hosting Texas -7. This thing is going to be all Bevo. Not a big Texas guy. Is it's still behind Elijah's right shoulder if you're looking at Hail Varsity YouTube or Hail Varsity Radio Twitter. The upside-down Texas coffee mug. It's a gift from Searles as long as it stays upside down. This is all Texas. 27-10. They roll Michigan on the road. Texas a winner tomorrow. What do you think, Elijah?
Yeah, it would have been better for the people who were able to get it last weekend whenever the line was still at 4.5. 7's a lot of points. I think Texas wins. I think Texas wins handily. I just don't think Michigan's going to have enough offense to keep up with Texas. So give me Texas. Let's go 24, Michigan 14, a winning cover for Bevo in a low-scoring affair.
Okay. Vic brought his boy here from Denver. So it is the birthday road trip for his son. Just to kind of clarify, Vic looking for 2 seats and a parking pass for his RV if you got it. So, Iowa State. Last year, this thing was a monsoon, if memory serves. Iowa's just better, period. And it's going to be Hawkeyes. Iowa Russ is smiling. Hawkeyes 21 and Iowa State 13. Win and cover for the black and gold. What say you, Elijah?
I'm trying to decide if Iowa's first half performance or second half performance is more indicative of who they are, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. I still think their defense is legit. I'm tough here. I think it's like a 3-point game in the end. So give me Iowa to win this ball game, 20-17. That's a push. That's lame. I'd stay away from it. I wouldn't be shocked to see the Hawkeyes go down. I think their defense is too good, though. I think they get it done. Let's go 2017.
2017. So it's still a push.
Yeah, that's fine. Me completely avoiding that one, but hey.
You don't like wagering on...
If I'm right, I'm right.
On Iowa. That's fine. Hashtag Free Elijah. Skylar is in. Don't we all wish we could find tickets? Skylar, there's a lot of folks. Only 90,000 allowed tomorrow night, but it will be top 5. Tennessee at NC State -10. The Vols looked great. NC State did not. I think Tennessee escapes with their life. 10's too much, though. Give me the Vols 34-28 over NC State.
I think this game is going to be pretty close throughout. The team you saw from NC State last week is not the team I think they are. I think Grayson McCall is a better quarterback than he showed against Western Carolina. That being said, the best quarterback on the field is going to be Nico. Not even going to try to pronounce his last name, from the Tennessee Volunteers. So I have Tennessee winning this one. I think they cover it late. 38-24, Tennessee gets the win.
All right, Nebraska-Colorado, the Buffs come in 1-0. They are electrifying on offense. They had a darn near shutout in the second half against North Dakota State. You make that jump week 1 to week 2. What kind of jump has Nebraska made? They looked good, except for about a 3-play drive against UTEP. They got to get over the hump sometime. Nebraska's got to win a one-score game sometime. They've got to make plays in tight moments, yada, yada, yada. It's all true, and it all happens. Tomorrow night, it's a one-score game for Nebraska. It's actually a tie game where Nebraska gets a stop defensively. Dillon leads them down the field for the go-ahead score and win. Colorado covers because of the hook at 7.5, but Nebraska wins. First team to 30 is going to get the exclamation point, and I think it's Nebraska 35, Colorado 28. Nebraska does enough both ways. Elijah, do you want to hold over, or do you got time for your call?
We'll hold over.
Okay, we will hold over. Elijah with his call, but I say Nebraska gets it handled. 35-28. Defense and offense, the whole notion of complementary football. We'll wind down a road show Friday, patio show 2.0 here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill in Gretna, and we're powered by Cornhead Lager.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
We have neglected to mention the Bang Bang or Boom Boom sauce here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. It is a must for your fries, for your wings. It is glorious. It's almost as good as Nebraska-Colorado. Elijah, book it. They need Colorado-Nebraska week 2 every year. They need to end the year with Iowa.
No, give me a rotation, not just Colorado, a rotation Nebraska, Colorado, and Missouri. Those are the 3 games in the Big 12 that I want to see.
While we're at it, let's just add Oklahoma, Kansas, and Kansas State.
I said Oklahoma. You can add Kansas and Kansas State if you want. Let's give me that rotation so we get to see some of the old rivalries.
Tim's giving you some hell here. Tim, let's have a drink. Relax. Shane says, Vic, there's good parking at a data security spot, 7th and M. Should only be $75 for an RV.
Free shout out for data security.
I'm just trying to help out a Nebraska fan.
I have heard that a lot of the RV spots have sold out already, which is new. A lot of times they have the drive-up parking, so maybe try calling ahead, see what you can find.
Chris is piling on your mustache. I think your mustache has come in full and well.
Just wait. He can pile on my pick here in a second, too.
Oh, no. Elijah Herbel, Friday forecast. What happens tomorrow?
I'll just lead it off with what is already going to give anger. I'm going Colorado, but I'm going to give you reasons why I'm going Colorado to defend my pick. I understand football is won along the lines of scrimmage. Won and lost. And Nebraska's probably going to go win this game tomorrow. People are going to call me an idiot. You don't know that football is won along the lines of scrimmage. I fully understand that. I think Nebraska has an advantage there. I think Colorado has enough playmakers on the outside, offensively and defensively, to make up for that fact. I think it's going to be a close ball game late, is basically what I'm telling you. I think Nebraska's advantage in the lines of scrimmage gets somewhat neutralized by the just talent and speed that Colorado has in their skill position guys. So I think it's a close game late. What do we know about Nebraska in close games late? They struggle. Over the past decade or so, that's what we have found out. Therefore, I think Nebraska is going to shoot itself in the foot in a fourth quarter close ball game. Maybe it's a missed kick by Tristan Alvano. I haven't spent much time talking about the kicking situation at Nebraska recently. I am still not confident. I think that could bite Nebraska. I think a true freshman quarterback trying to carry the load in the fourth quarter might hurt Nebraska. We haven't seen him throw a pick yet this season, Dylan Raiola. I know it's been one game. We probably are going to get the first one tomorrow. I understand. A lot of people call me nuts in this stream. We'll see tomorrow night. There's too many reasons for me to not be confident in Nebraska in a 50-50 game. And with everyone around here picking Nebraska, I believe this to be a 50-50 game. I am going to pick Colorado. I think just something tells me something is going to go wrong in the fourth quarter for this Nebraska team. It's going to come down to how they respond. I have not seen that mentality flip to make me think they are going to respond in the right way. I hope I'm wrong.
People are out. They're vicious. Save that for 3rd and 8.
I hope people make me eat crow on Monday. I tell you what.
Save that for 3rd and 8 with about 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. We'll see you tomorrow. Appreciate you.
I can understand if you disagree with me. If you think my rationale is invalid, you're not paying attention.
Elijah says the Buffs.
Unfortunately, I hope I'm wrong, and I hope everyone just makes fun of me all day on Monday.
Tomorrow is the breakthrough moment for Nebraska. They get it handled. If not, we'll just burn this tape. It's okay. Thanks for coming out to Hurrdat Sports Bar in Gretna. See you at the Single Barrel inside the Graduate 9th and P tomorrow. Then out at the bar. Talk tomorrow. Thanks.